Welcome to lesson 12. This is where, at least for me, this is the fun part of Ecamm. This is where you bring somebody else onto your stream and you do a live one-on-one or one-on-multiple conversation. It's great. It's talking heads. It's kind of like what you see in the news today, where you have a bunch of people kind of looking out at the audience and talking to each other at the same time. And that's what we're going to do in this particular lesson. Now, it does require some prep. First of all, we need to create a scene that works with Ecamm's interview mode. We need to use Ecamm's interview mode. I'm going to show you some quick settings for what I believe is the right way to use interview mode, but this is going to be something that is customized for you and probably unique even to if you're conducting multiple shows, for instance, or multiple presentations across different topics. You may have different interview setups for each one. That's totally fine, and it's totally doable inside Ecamm. So we're going to go through that. We're also going to look through a guest checklist. Now, this is super important. You've been spending the last 11 lessons learning how to look good and sound good on Ecamm. Now you're going to get somebody that comes in, hopefully not in a noisy environment, wearing AirPods where their microphone sounds like crap, and they're going to sound lesser quality than you. So what you want to do is make sure that they know what the requirements are prior to conducting the interview. And quite frankly, I've rejected some interviews in the past when the person comes on. I've told them what I wanted them to do, and they didn't do it. And it's like, I'm sorry, we can do this interview when you're ready to conduct the interview. But all the noise, they were trying to do interviews at Starbucks, and they're trying to do interviews with substandard hardware. Like I said before, the AirPods, it's a lot of hooey. I mean, if you're using Ecamm to conduct a professional presentation, live stream professional presentation, you want your guests to look and sound as good as you. So we're going to play around with that. Now, you're going to need a buddy for this. And this is somebody who is willing to spend some time with you as you navigate through and have them come on, adjust your sizing, make sure that everything's set up correctly. In this case, I'm going to find some friend to join me in on the presentation so that we can show you interview mode together. All right, so let's get rolling because there's a lot to cover in just a short amount of time. And we're in the home stretch, gang. We're at lesson 12. Can you feel it? Can you feel the end coming? Yeah, it's almost there. All right, let's get in and do our first interview. Now, interview mode is a pro feature inside of Ecamm, and it is something that allows you to simply bring in people into your stream and then send that combined stream out to YouTube or whatever platform you're going to be streaming to or recording to. You could just record it locally. For instance, on one of my shows, all I do is I get on with my co-host. We talk, and it's all locally recorded. And then I go in, I hack away at it, edit it, and then I post that up to YouTube. So we're not actually live streaming whatever it is we're talking about. And that actually helps quite a bit because that means my download stream doesn't need to be as bad because it's just he and I. And since there is no upload stream, the internet just seems to behave pretty well. But your mileage will vary. It'll absolutely depend upon your available bandwidth. And the more guests you bring in, the more bandwidth you're going to utilize. Now, it'll always be one stream out, but you can have multiple streams coming in, dialing in to your Ecamm. So Fortunately, in most cases, your download speed is higher. It's asynchronous, meaning it will be higher than your upload speed. And that works to your advantage because you can have 4, maybe 5 people in on your show, and you can then record all those in at once on your download. And then if you are uploading, if you're live streaming at that point, you've got one stream going out. Let's see. Generally speaking, most people opt for the pro level. And so that makes interview mode available to virtually everybody who uses Ecamm. It is a little bit more expensive than the standard version, but it does give you the ability to do a lot more stuff that you would not have in the standard version if you're upgraded to Pro, interview mode being one of them. So we're going to get into, first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up a scene, and one of those scenes will be set up for a 2-person mode where we have our guest and ourselves, and then we'll see how that works. And then the same thing can apply to pretty much multiple guests that you have on your stream. So let's get over there and do that. So here inside Ecamm, what I want to do is I'm actually going to create another scene. I'm just going to duplicate a scene, or we can start from scratch, either way. I do have a background already that I can utilize, and maybe that's what I want to roll with. Or if I want to use the Ecamm background, I can do that. Again, the Ecamm background is available on the Discord server. I'll see if I can make it available directly from this site so that you can download it here instead of having going to sign up for Discord. But if I can't, in the event that I can't put it here, it'll be on the Ecamm, I think it's called Fam Talk channel within the Discord server. Discord's a whole nother class. It's not hard. If you ever used Slack before to communicate with your coworkers or with customers or whatever, it's similar to Slack, but it's designed for consumers. It's not really designed for business as much, although a lot of businesses are using it. Okay, well, let's go forward and create a scene. So I'm going to just click on plus right here. I've got main selected. I'm going to click on plus. It's going to go to blank. Remember, we set up blank a long time ago. And now I want to, well, first thing, let's just go ahead and add in a background. So I will do the Ecamm wallpaper because actually, where's my, you know what, I'm going to do ours. I mean, this is a base camp training class after all. So I'm going to drag and drop that in. Boom. So now that's our background for this particular scene. And you can show it, you can see it shows up here, showing current scene. I'm just going to go ahead and lock it right now because I don't want to mess with it. I don't want it to get selected accidentally. Just going to lock it. And then I'm going to create basically 2 camera windows, 2 talking heads. And this is pretty simple to do. First thing you do is you go ahead and you create a camera overlay. So remember right here, tap that, and it, of course it's going to occupy your entire scene. What I want to do with this camera, first I'm going to click on the gear icon. I'm going to set it from wide to square. You can see it does that. And now I can scale down and get it exactly. So let's say I want this, if it's, this would be about midway, but I want it about up here. But what if I wanted to, like, I don't want it to be perfectly square, right? I don't want it to do that. So I want it more rectangular. If you try and, if you have it set to a shape, you can adjust the size or any kind of alteration of the aspect ratio. So you click again on gear, or you click on the edit icon here, change it from square to custom. It'll maintain the current settings that you as of square, but now if I hold down my option key, I can drag this however I want, right? So let's say I want something that's like this, whoops, like this, but I'm going to go larger. And so if I'm talking to a guest, let's say I have it about right here. I believe this is marked about 1/3 of the way through if you're doing the rule of thirds. Okay, so what else can I do to make this stand out? I can add a border. So let's say we choose color, right? And now we've got a color, maybe something a little bit more contrasty. I could go with a darker version of this. And if you wanted to, you could also do a gradient here. And that gradient, so if you wanted to pick a different color, and like I'll go with the orange here, and maybe set it so that it's like this. So it's lighter on this side and darker on this side. You know, whatever, it's a design choice. And then I've got my camera set up. Now, what if I want to have basically this exact same size window and everything? What if I want to do that as well? It's actually really simple to do. All you do is you hold down the option key and you click drag, and it creates a duplicate. And I can put it right there. And then I can align it. So now it's exactly the same size. Now, it's got me in two windows, which, I mean, it doesn't look bad, but obviously one of these sides is going to be our guest and the other one is going to be you. So first things first, in order to turn this into an interview guest, you need to turn on interview mode. Let's go look at our interview preferences again before we get cranking with that. So I'll bring up preferences and I'll go to interview. And then I have some settings here. Play ring chime. Let's just zoom in here. Play ring chime, auto answer your guests. I leave this set to on because if I'm in the middle of a presentation, auto answer essentially means that if somebody rings in, it'll automatically accept them into what's called the green room. It's a virtual green room. Green room comes from the broadcast industry, like if you're going on the Tonight Show or something like that, while you're waiting to go on to the show, they put you in what's called the green room, and it's kind of like a prep room, a waiting room until you're ready to go on camera. So we're gonna send the guest to the green room, and they're muted until they're added to the broadcast. So they will be waiting in the wings, as it were. And what happens is when they sit in the green room, you have to bring them into the scene. So then also lower music and movie sound effects for when in off-air audio mode. And it says here, guests will hear the movie and sound effects at a lower volume when in off-air audio mode. I just leave this off. I don't ever use this. And then the guest view is the host camera or the broadcast. So what's the difference? When a interview guest dials in, they will see your they'll see one of two things. They'll either see your face on top of the entire interface for their Chrome browser, or they're going to see, which is host camera, or they're going to see broadcast. And the broadcast is what's on the main screen. So what is being broadcast out to everybody? Sometimes you want it to be broadcast, especially, not sometimes, a lot of times you want it to be broadcast because you want them to see what else is on screen so they can talk to it, right? So we'll set this to broadcast. I like setting it to broadcast. And then there's one more button here. It says Customize Interview Settings. So if I click on that, so here's my, or we don't need this right now. We're not doing the Rainy Cajun. You have your interview settings. So we're going to call this Base Camp Interview. And then if you have if they're in light mode, what's the logo going to look like? And if they're in dark mode, what's the logo going to look like? So when they log in, it'll be on their screen. And you need to have an image that's 1200 by 630 pixels tall. So that could be pretty much anything that you want to put in there. You just drag it in. Guest link domain. So you've got guest.ecamm.live and all of these potential servers, and these are all hosted by Ecamm. I just do guest.ecamm.live. Default to dark mode. I like dark mode on anything that's broadcast related, content creation related. That's a personal preference of mine. For me, looking at this screen with this big white box is going to drive me up the wall. So I'm going to put it on dark mode. So when the guest, this is for the guest screen, by the way, it'll go to dark mode. They can see their comments from the viewers. They can see how many people are watching, and you can do a private chat between. Now, this isn't an audio chat. This is a text chat, but you can do a private chat to your guest during the course of your interview. So if you're like, hey, can you bring it? You know, we got 1 minute left. Can you kind of wrap it up or whatever you want to say? Turn off audio processing for guest musician mode. Basically, what happens on Ecamm side is that it processes the audio for voice. Musician mode means that if somebody's coming in and playing some music, Ecamm won't try and process that out of their stream. It'll leave it in. I just leave it as is. And then you go ahead and click save here. That'll save it. And then look what pops up. Interview dialog box. And if this doesn't pop up, go to your window pull down menu and then select interview or command / and then turn interview on. And now you should see this window appear, and it says it's got you. And you could edit this. So you could edit the title. You could turn your name on or off. What camera are you using? You can switch this in live stream mode if you want to. And then when a guest comes in, they'll have an almost exact window right underneath here. And then you've got this link here. This is for the link. So you see guest.ecamm.live, and then there's a unique code here that is for your stream. And that is for Basecamp viewer. Now you can do new interview settings and have multiples. So you can switch between them if you wanted to. Different links, different settings, all that stuff you can do inside of this window. And then you can also copy the link right here. This is a show chat window. If you click on copy link, it'll say copied. Show chat window, when we zoom out, we'll see it. That allows you to see the chat window between you and your guests. So, all right, that's all set up. Now what? Well, let's get out of here. Let's go back to our screen here. And now you'll notice if I click on the pencil icon to edit this, and choose camo camera, now I've got 4 different guests to choose from. So if I do guest 1, now it just puts the placeholders in place. But it's blank because I don't have anybody in my interview. And once you have somebody in your interview, they'll show up here as guest one. How does that work? Well, you assign them to guest one, guest two, guest three. So you can cycle between those, or you can have all your guests on at the same time. So we'll leave, again, we're going to leave all the settings as is. We're going to lock the positions on all of this stuff. And now, if I go to the main window here, you'll see interview chat. And it says no interview guests because we haven't invited anybody yet. But we're going to invite somebody, and then they're going to come on screen, and we're going to do a chat. Now, a couple of things that you want to make sure. There is a chat checklist, and I'll post it. I'll switch back off of this before we go into this particular portion of the presentation. But you want to make sure, especially for your guest, that they are paying attention to this checklist. And there's some critical components. First of all, make sure they're in a quiet place. Make sure that they are utilizing hardware that's of somewhat recent manufacturing. And for instance, my cousin who comes in on my chat sometimes, his desktop performs way better than his old iPhone 6, which he still has. And he calls in on that, and it's choppy as hell. So you want to make sure that the hardware is working correctly. No AirPods. If need be, get them to buy a pair of headphones, or get them to buy those in-ear mics. But the AirPods sound great to them. The microphone on the AirPods is terrible, and it'll sound terrible to your audience who's watching. So I would not recommend AirPods or anything Bluetooth. Whatever you're going to use, make sure it's hardwired into your system so that when they do talk to you, they are, they've got their headphones on, you've got your headphones on, and that will eliminate any chances of echo, most chances of echo, before you go ahead and conduct your interview. This is also a really good time to do what's called a tech check. And this is where you bring the guest on ahead of time. Before you even start your presentation, before you're even recording, you can do this. You can bring them in and you can start talking with them. And I've had to do this on multiple occasions with different guests of different skill levels and get their settings tweaked. I had one guy who had a microphone. He had a really nice microphone, but he didn't have it enabled. So it was using the laptop's microphone, and he was doing a cooking show. And his laptop was way off screen, so I got this super distant audio. I'm like, why can't I hear your microphone that's right on you? And he goes, I thought I enabled it. And so we had to go through and enable that inside his Chrome browser so that it would allow him to stream his microphone instead of the mic that was built onto the laptop. Yet another reason to have a nice mic to use for both your guest and yourself. And then finally, you want to make sure that the lighting and their internet connection are both good. The lighting is going to kill you, especially if they're outside. I've seen far too many interviews where people are sitting outside on a park bench. You get all the noise of the birds and the kids playing in the park, and the wind's blowing through, and you hear wind noise on the microphone. And the sun is changing. It's going in and out. And sometimes there's shadows. Sometimes there's not. Try and get them in a nice, stable room environment. So a conference room or someplace where the background is consistent, the lighting is consistent, the audio isolation is consistent. As a matter of fact, one of the things you can do to mitigate, even if, let's say you're in a conference rooms generally have hard surfaces. You want to avoid hard surfaces in most cases, but in the event that you cannot, making sure they have a microphone that's relatively close to their mouths, like a lavalier mic, that would mitigate to some extent. That would mitigate the issues using a mic that's too far away, and then they're yelling, and then it's picking up all the echoes in the room because it's hitting all the hard surfaces. So the guest doesn't necessarily need to be in a treated room for audio or lighting, but obviously it's better that way because you're going to look great and they're going to look like crap because they haven't taken the time. So let's go ahead and take a look at that checklist real quick and make sure that your guest is on the same page as you. So let's take a look at this checklist here. And this is pretty straightforward, but it needs to be covered. It's kind of like your going live checklist or your recording checklist. So here in our interview checklist, these are questions you have to ask your guest. Are you on a computer or on a phone? If so, what do you have? Again, late model, everything is ideal. If they're working off of original iPhone, that's a non-starter, obviously. If they're working off a 10-year-old laptop, that's also probably a non-starter. If they're more within, like, let's just say that anything within the last 4 to 5 years, and it doesn't matter when you're watching this portion of the video, the way that the software works and the developments work, there will be continued involvement in the software's capabilities. So you'll always need something that's no more than 4 and 5 years old. So when I record this today, it's just going to be offset into the future, which means that my demonstration laptop is due for a retirement pretty soon here. So let's take a look at it. If you're on a phone, the same thing. If you can avoid them being on a phone, that's ideal. And there's 2 reasons for that. A laptop is generally stationary, right? So even if they're using the onboard camera, which is kind of a no-no, but even if they're using an onboard camera, it's not going to be wobbling and moving around. That's very distracting to your audience. So avoid a handheld device or something that they can't rest in a stand or something like that and not touch during your interview. That's just, it's common sense, but it's different from doing a FaceTime call where you're walking around, you're showing your relatives, your pets, and your Christmas tree and all that other fun stuff. That's different. This is you're in a studio environment, so to speak, and you're having a potentially serious interview with a reputable guest, and you don't want them kind of just like they would not appreciate you moving all over the place. You don't want them moving all over the place. So a stationary laptop is ideal. Now, the next question always is, what is your internet connection like? And this is a biggie. Are you on broadband? Are you on a shared, if they say, well, I'm going to go sit in Starbucks. I can't advise against that enough. Against doing that, because you're on shared Wi-Fi, number one. Internet on pretty much anybody else's system is designed to distribute one connection against so many other guests. The routers simply can't keep up. And if you're doing a broadband live stream interview, it will suffer if you're not on a dedicated connection. As a matter of fact, if you have strong enough signal on your phone, I'd recommend doing that over using the Wi-Fi at like your coffee shop or something like that. Just avoid that. First of all, being at a coffee shop would be bad to begin with just because there's a lot of background noise. But if you're on a shared network, if Ecamm or if Chrome gives you guys problems, that's probably because of the configuration of the router, so I would not recommend it. Wired or Wi-Fi, as I recommend with you in your own setup, I will recommend for your guests. To the extent that you can ask them, beg them to wire everything up and make sure it's hardwired, I would do that, because I think that that's going to give you the best possible results and eliminate any chances of RF signal noise or anything that could potentially screw up your interview, because a cable won't fail the same way a Wi-Fi connection will. So or a wireless connection or Bluetooth or anything like that, it just won't fail. When you're in a crowded space or you're in an office, hopefully your IT department is worth their salt and can handle the extra load that you may place on the network. But in the event that they can't, if you're hardwired, you have a much better chance of getting best possible performance versus Wi-Fi. So I would definitely avoid Wi-Fi if at all possible. Okay, and then what kind of camera are they using? So are they using, like I've got dedicated cameras in here, plus I've been doing on our demonstrations on the laptop, I've been using my iPhone. So I have a professional cinema camera, I've got a portable pocket camera here, and then I've got my phone camera. They're all acceptable for Ecamm, and they will all produce different results, right? So you just want to find out what it is you got to work with. And if they do plan on using their phone, encourage them to download Camo and get even the trial version of Camo is going to give them a much better experience than anything with continuity camera or any. And I would also, if they have an iPhone 14 or earlier, then I would a Lightning to USB connector, so it's connected directly into the laptop, is going to give you the best possible performance. And if you're on an iPhone 15 and later, you're going to be on USB-C to more than likely USB-C. And again, I would recommend that. Not only you charging the phone while you're using it, it's a much more stable connection. So this again goes back to the wired versus wireless. But Camo is going to give you a nice, steady, clear image. And if you do upgrade to the Pro version, you get the 1080p and above. So that's entirely up to you. But through our discount codes, you might be able to utilize that to your benefit. So, it's ultimately you can have your guest sign up and get the discount codes as well. That's what they're there for, right? And we're trying to make you look your best and sound your best. So, if they're using a laptop though, let's try and get them off of the laptop's camera if at all possible. There's just too many variables there, and the laptop cameras, as you've seen already, are not that great. What about lighting? Of course, I discussed this a little bit sooner, but lighting is important from the standpoint that you don't want it shifting throughout your call, your interview. And the reason for that is that it's distracting to your audience, and it also alters the colors, especially if you're using natural light. As the sun traverses the sky, it goes from an orange, bluish to a almost a bright white, and then back down to like an orange color. And depending upon the time of day, you're going to have shadows, and those shadows are going to be moving. So I would recommend, if it's an overcast sky and it's in the middle of the day, that's probably going to be your best possible scenario for using outdoor natural lighting. But anything with harsh sunlight, as much as I love every little bit of sunlight I can get up here in the Pacific Northwest, it's just not conducive to good lighting for an interview. If they're using some kind of artificial light, this is where the tech check, where you check with them first to make sure the camera looks good, is important. Because sometimes, like if they're in a conference room, as I mentioned earlier, they might be underneath fluorescent lighting, which at certain frame rates can cause a very noticeable flicker. And you obviously want to avoid that. And once you're in the middle of an interview, it's kind of hard to say, let me stop and go find another place to do this. It's just looks like you didn't plan ahead and you didn't take, a very simple thing like lighting refresh, not matching camera refresh, which leads to flicker. So I would test that stuff out first, especially when you're dealing with LEDs. For instance, behind me, you can see, I've got my lighting tube here, and I've got another one slightly off camera over here. Those are designed video lights. I've got the 2 lights up here, and I've got another 2 lights here. So another light there and another light there. So what does that make? 10 lights are on right now. And this is the look you get, right? And the colors and the intensity never changes. It's consistent the entire time. That's what you're hoping for. But if you're using a non-standard light, chances are, I'm not even sure if I could demonstrate this. No, I can't. But I know, for instance, see if you can see it back there. Nope, you can't. There's a blue light just off screen here to the left of another tube light that I've got here. That blue light is a Philips Hue bulb. Philips Hue is great for doing home lighting. Unfortunately, and because they select all the colors and you can automate them and things like that, I would advise against going with those for anything other than accent lighting, practical lighting. And even then, I would be super cautious about using anything but pure brightness, like full-on brightness, because when you start to dim those lights, you'll see flicker in your camera feeds, and it is very distracting. And it's something that also looks pretty unprofessional. So you'll get that with fluorescent lighting. And then if you're using the Hue bulbs, even though they're LEDs, and these lights are LEDs too, the way that these are designed, they're designed to mesh with the refresh rate of the cameras, whereas the Hue bulbs are not. And so you'll see the difference in the update or the frame rate, and then that causes, obviously, it looks like a wave almost, where the light is hitting the wall. It's like a dark and colored wave, and it's really distracting. So ask them about that ahead of time and test it and make sure that it looks good no matter what. Okay, and then you do a sound check. And again, this is part of the tech check that you do ahead of time. We call them tech checks, and I do these regardless of how many times I have brought somebody into my interview. Variables on my end or on their end will always dictate that you do a quick check, even if it's quick. I mean, 30 seconds to test 1, 2, 3. You don't get any echo. Okay, good. Well, then you move on. But in the event that things are not where you want them to be, you need to be able to make those adjustments as necessary. In the instance of in the case of a microphone, like I was saying before, a lot of people come to the interviews with their AirPods, and I would just advise them at the very beginning. Headphones are preferable. If you don't want to mess up your hair or you don't want to look like a disc jockey, then you could use the in-ear monitors. I will provide links to the ones that I have so that you know where to get them, or which ones I'm using, because they work great. And so you want to make sure that they're on the same page there. And also, do they have a backup microphone? And what does that mean? Well, let's say they do get a nicer microphone than the one that's on their laptop. And so a backup microphone, if they're using their iPhone, would be the iPhone's mic. And then a tertiary backup would be the laptop. That would be least ideal usage or microphone to use for this interview. But that's sometimes you're dealt the hand that you're dealt, and you have to work around it. So we've had everything from people trying to get fancy with green screens and it looks like a mess, to people trying to they think they're super cool with their Sennheiser wireless headphones, which sound great in their ears, but the audio quality coming out of the microphones is not that great. So I would look at companies for wireless microphones as well. DJI makes, the same company that makes those drones. They make a really nice set of wireless mics, and they just kind of clip onto your shirt, or you can put them down in your pocket and then run a small little wire with a microphone at the tip. That's a true lavalier mic, and you see that a lot in interviews. So you just have to put the transmitter in your pocket or something like that. Rode is another company, Rode. Shure, Shure, is good for microphones. And then there's a whole host of other mic companies out there, and they're different price points. So I as I recommended at the beginning of the series, the Rode video mics are great for portable microphones. They have outside noise rejection, pretty well done. You'll pick up some noises, but it won't be nearly as bad as what you get on your laptop, which is kind of an omnidirectional pickup pattern. So having a backup mic is always ideal. And in this case, I would have the nicest mic be your primary, and then either the phone or the laptop is your secondary, is your backup mic, just in case. Okay, so I know that I've done all this because I've done it. Now I'm going to hop on to my first interview that you guys can watch. And together we're going to go through the steps of bringing in somebody for the interview into our interview screen and seeing what it looks like. All right, let's go. All right, first things first. We have on the screen here the two cameras we created. Now, generally what I like to do is identify who everybody is on this screen. So let's go ahead and create some little graphics underneath my name or my camera feed, putting my name, and then I'm going to be bringing in David for his interview portion of it. So first things first, I also like to do either their title or where they're located or both. So I'm going to create a square here, and it's got like my settings from the last time. So I'm going to just make this square. I could actually have it go, like if I wanted to do that, I could go to my orange that I've got selected here. And then if I go to this transparent, make that orange, and then I can drag down the opacity just a little bit, right? And let's say you wanted to make it, a little bit nicer. So I could step that up. Let's see. I want this box to contain my name and my title. So what if let's see here. What would be a good way to do this? Well, first of all, I think I'd like to do some rounded bottoms, right? Just like that. So it almost looks like a tab underneath a folder. And then I'm going to add some text. So I'll click on text here, and I'll put my name. Be helpful if I could type. And then I've got that. And obviously need to scale that down. And let's say I'm going to go back and edit this. And to go to the next line in the single text box, instead of creating a new text object, hit Shift and then press Return. It also tells you that in the lower portion. To add a new line, hold down the Shift key while pressing the Return key, just in case you forget. And I'm going to put my title. Okay, and that is obviously going to be too big for this whole thing, so I'm going to scale this down. 72, I'm going to make this 48. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this all to be left justified. So now what's going to happen is I'll put that in, and you can see it's still a little bit big. So I have two options here. First option is I can make the tab underneath big, which is simple enough to do. I can just go right inside that stroke there, and then I'll pull this one out, and then I can select the text and move it in. Right, so that's one way to do it. And if you wanted to get fancy pants, you could click on the edit button, turn on shadow. You don't want it too blurry. Kind of want these letters to pop, but you don't want them too far away, just to give you a little bit of an outline, a little bit of a spacing. And then you've got yourself I think this is workable, right? So what do you do if I want to copy this? And, remember, we just hold down the Option key and we can copy this stuff over. First things first, though, notice I'm just going to look right here. You see there's a little bit of a gap here. So if I click on the tab part, just use my arrow keys, you can see that I can make it look like it's part of the tab if I want to, and or of the outline beneath here. But you can see I've got a little bit of I want to size this down just a bit and maybe size this up. Now, I'm not putting on my designer hat right now, but just trying to get something somewhat proportionate. You want to have nice, even spacing around the outer edges, and this kind of works. And so we'll zoom out here, and then I'm going to hold down the Option key, click, drag, and put that right where it needs to be. And if I need to use the arrow keys to step it, and then same thing, Option, drag, and then I'm going to put in David. Let's see. I got to give him a title. What is that? If you don't know what a melatonin is, look it up. And he is in Fairhope. Oops, not Hope. Fairhope, Alabama. So he fits, no problem. Now, two things I could do here. I could, well, first of all, I got to get it aligned. I want to make sure that they're the same height. And I can leave it as is. I can make this one right justified. There's a lot of things you could do to play around with that, but I'm just going to keep it as is. Now, one of the things that I'd like to do in this particular instance is create a folder and just group all that text. So if I go over here and I'll create a folder and call it names, like that. And then I'll just take this, names. So remember, the order is important. If these rectangles were above the names, you would not see them. But what's nice about this is that now if I link them all together, I can move it all at once, right? That's one. And then two, if I wanted to, I could turn these both off. So let's say you're having a conversation and you don't want to have this on all the time. You can do that. You can just you can have the names come on like that and talk, and then maybe at some point into the conversation, you could just click on the eyeball and it goes away like that. Okay, so I think I'm ready, and let's go ahead. I gotta send David the link on text, and then he should call in any moment, and so I'm also going to use my in-ear monitors for my conversation with David, and you can tell which one. This would be the left ear, this would be the right ear. I'm going to use the right because my camera's here, and I can hear myself. It's a little bit of a delay. Let me make sure that my, let's see, audio, turn that off. Okay, so if you hear yourself on a slight delay once you put the headphones in, that's generally not good because it's going to be on a delay, like on a second delay, and that's not cool. Okay, so you've got, oh, by the way, I forgot to name this scene. It's just waiting for me to type in a scene name. So let me go to that real quick, and I'll call this interview while I'm waiting for David to call in. And then I'm ready to go. I'm ready for him to call in. Now, he's going to show up on my interview window. So let me make sure that that is front and center. There it is. And I'll put it off to the side here. Okay, so here we are. We're on the main screen. And in just a moment, David will be calling in. And we will have our first interview. There he is. He says guest in the green room, which is what we want. Okay. And then we're going to switch over to our interview scene. All right. And then we're going to assign David to guest one. And there he is. Hey.
Hey.
It's nice and dark there.
Yeah. Well, I guess I thought I had the brighter light on here. I can adjust if you like.
No, it's okay. This is what we'll call the what do you call it? The tech check. We just got to make sure that everything works before we go live. All right.
Yeah.
So this is how interview mode works. Now you can see David's face is a little bit larger than mine in the shot. No, it's not you personally. Don't worry. So if I wanted to adjust that, I could go into editing for this for the camera here. And then I could select zoom and pan, and then I could zoom in on myself so that we're a little bit more proportionate to each other. So there you go. So I can get in a little bit closer. But so David, you're what style connection are you on? You're on your cable service or DSL?
Yeah.
Do you know?
I'm on a cable service.
You're on a cable service, okay. And you're coming in from. Well, you're not in Fairhope now. We got to change that.
No.
You're in West Mobile now.
That's right.
Okay. I'm assuming that the title remains the same, though.
Oh yeah, I haven't given up my Melatonin Man title yet.
Okay. All right. So there you go. So we can do this. David can come in. This could be like what would be our tech check, and then David would come in and we'd make sure everything is working. Now, we have done this before, so it's not like it just magically worked. It's, truth be told, we've done lots and lots and lots of hours online together, but this is the first time we're doing it to kind of teach other people how to do it. So it's a little bit fun. And how do I look on your end?
You look fine. I mean, Your lighting's good. I hear you fine.
Okay.
Well proportioned.
Yeah, well proportioned. I don't know. I'm still trying to lose my poofy face from the trip down to New Orleans recently. That's it's a little bit harder to do when you're sitting in a studio all day long trying to record videos and you're not as active as you want to be. But this, by the way, I'm using Camo Studio, which is allowing me, I'm actually talking on my iPhone 14 right now. That's the camera I'm using. Oh,
wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
So it does work. And it works quite well. I mean, I can blur it out. You can see the background behind me is just a tad bit blurry. Like, there's enough of a difference there that it's not like Zoom style blurry, right? Where, you see everything and it's yeah, it's so you don't look crusty around the edges,
Yeah.
I decided to use this for the training and with the iPhone 14. I used to say that the iPhone wasn't good enough to do Ecamm interviews or any Ecamm anything, and it turns out I just did the last 16 hours of training.
Oh, wow.
Using the iPhone as my main camera source. So yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Well, and I mean, trying to use the iPhone. Of course, I have a little older edition than you do.
Right.
It the convenience of being able to do that, especially it's also good, I guess, as a backup because, if, for example, if your main system, your laptop, something happens and you can get on your iPhone, then at least you know that you can continue doing your transmissions and such through that way.
Right.
And so
Right.
that's good to know, and it's good to see you don't lose any capabilities from what you can tell.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely, it takes a little bit of finagling, but once you get the lighting right, I just thinking about, when people go on the road
Mm-hmm.
and maybe they're in a hotel and they're in an area where the iPhone camera will do just fine, but their laptop's built-in camera is a piece of junk, or it's just doesn't, it's not up to snuff. I mean, I can switch. I don't even know if I can do this midstream. Let me see if I can do that. I'll switch over. Yeah, my FaceTime HD camera. I'll go blurry for a second. And that's what the FaceTime HD camera looks like. And it's,
Okay.
yeah, it's like you can see
Just
the
the
streaks.
position. Yeah.
Yeah, well, the streaks too. And, it looks like I'm like at a 80s roller rink or something like that. So you have far less control. I mean, you can play around with it and get it to look better, but I mean, you can't beat this.
No, that's great.
Yeah. So,
Well, because I'm thinking about my my limited equipment that I have,
right.
and knowing that if I can create quality videos and instruction through just having the phone, I mean, it's pretty amazing to be able to do that and not have to have all the higher end equipment, especially for folks who are just either do it occasionally, or like you said, they get caught on the road, or for whatever reason, for vacation, family, or work.
Right.
It's really convenient.
Right. And so what I'm doing right now, I don't know if you can see it on your end, but I'm actually brightening your image. So I'm, the built-in controls with Ecamm, I was able to adjust the saturations. I was able to mess around with it. So if I wanted to, mess around with the gamma a little bit, bring that brightness up, I can adjust all those things. Even if your setting is not perfect, I can make some changes on my end to make it look a tad bit better. So yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Quick technical question.
Yeah.
Can you give me more hair?
Actually, it's funny. Let me go into Camo Studio because you're going to love this. Let's see if I can choose my overlay. No, not the overlay, the filter. No, AR. Here we go. Where is it? Jaguar. There we go.
Ah, there you go. Yeah.
So now I made a joke earlier about, well, this looks like this reminds me of a time at Mardi Gras,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, these are some of the filters that are built in. You can do this right from, it tracks your face, and if you don't want to look like, I think this would be more appropriate on a gal than me, but I could do an emoji face, so. I can do that kind of stuff. So if I wanted to go truly incognito, I could do that with this.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of fun.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So no, I otherwise, if I could give you more hair, you know what? Just put your ball cap on, and it'll look like you got a full head of hair. You'll be fine.
That's true.
All right. Well, thanks for your time, David. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, and this is interviews. Now David can he can drop off whenever he wants. I can assign him, or if I wanted to pull him and replace this camera feed with another guest that was on, I could do that, or I could have multiple guests. David and I have had another guest on our show that we do together, and so we've had 3 independent cameras all going at the same time, and it worked out great. So. And you can see down here, I can zoom in on David's feed here, and if I wanted to, if he was a little too loud for me, or whatever, I could Yeah, I could just mute them.
I was thinking that'd be convenient with some of the interviews I did recently. So.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, that's true. So, this is, there's not much to it. I mean, we set it up already in the class, so this is it. So, if I can learn it, then you can learn it, and that means that David can learn it too. So, and
True.
you're a chemical engineer, so I mean, if you couldn't learn Ecamm, I have not a good look ahead for the Hubble family in general. So
I think Hubbles are okay.
Yeah, I think the rest of them are okay, but there's us we got to worry about. So, all right. Well, thanks again, and I will talk to you soon.
All right. See ya.
All right. Take care, man.
Okay.
Bye. And that's it. Just did an interview. Now, in this case, when David hung up, it left a blank window on here, and that's obviously not good. And you can tell if you go to the program window here, this is what your audience will see. So what I like to do before I switch off of a interview is that I go back to another scene. So in this case, I'll go back before David would hang up in normal circumstances. What I would do is I would go to this screen where it's just me. And then that way he can hang up and then he's gone and I don't have to go back to that interview screen again. And that's pretty much it. I mean, that's interview mode. Now, we could have multiple guests, of course, and I would certainly advise you about, how you're going to handle guests. But, just keep in mind that if you go through that checklist and everything's copacetic beforehand, if you still feel uncomfortable, do a tech check. Actually, I would recommend just doing a tech check, especially when you're just getting started. I would do a tech check just every time and make sure if it's somebody totally new that you've never dealt with before, make sure because often what will happen is they'll say one thing and then when they get online, it's like, this is not exactly what you said. Oh, well, I had to switch, blah, blah, blah. And you have to kind of reset your expectations and potentially postpone the interview until you get the ideal conditions for an interview with that person. And it's never a comfortable position to be in, especially when you're dealing with somebody of notoriety who has a limited schedule, and you might have not even have spoken to them. You spoke to their producer who was not doing their job and not getting that person set up correctly. But in most cases they do, but sometimes you'll deal with people who don't. Okay, so that is it. Now, I'll take this out. I don't need this in your monitor anymore. You have, up until this point, you have created a local recording, you've done your own live stream, and you've done an interview. Now, granted, we didn't hit go live on the interview, but we easily could have, and it would have been the exact same experience. The reason why I didn't do that is because I wanted to make sure that you were focused on just having that interview. Now, if you want to go back and do it again, and this time hit record or hit stream, you're more than welcome to do that. I'm just trying to compartmentalize things a little bit so that you're not, you get that, you understand each component independently, and then you're able to put it all together up here. But it's you'll see it all the time. You've got all the people from Ecamm, for instance, when they do their shows, there's a lot of interviews going on, and sometimes they run it through their own system, sometimes they run it through a producer's system. There's a lot of different ways to do it. The point being that the major point being is having them set up with a consistent and a good look. And then, of course, having a good internet connection, because you could have the best looking set around, and if it comes through all pixelated because you had a poor internet connection, that's not going to work for you. Okay, so last big lesson is coming up. This is where we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of really what a lot of you want to do with Ecamm. You've gone through all the different steps to create your own scenes and setup and overlays, done interviews, you've done recordings, you've done live streams. Now we're going to talk about Zoom integration and other third-party app integration so that you can get the most out of those tools when you're using Ecamm. So see you in the next lesson. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we only got 2 more to go. All right, see ya.